see here. This is how come I always take a few minutes to get responsive with the audience because I'll do my nest thing right here.
I'm going to assume we're on. I'm going to stare at that camera.
Don't assume too hard. What is it?
Give
Meta.
people something to look at.
Something from Meta. I'm not interested. Oh, there we are.
Yeah, looks like it's happening. See, all that mugging was for a purpose.
All right. Okay, here we go. We'll silence this here. Keep watching right there, and you got your readers on. You'll be able to see better than me.
Ooh, yes.
Okay.
Now I can see.
I want to get rid of all that space over there, so I will turn this way.
Alan says, good to see ya. Well, it's good to see ya, too, Alan. Good evening, Wesley. Good evening, Clinton Zilla. The green beans were delicious, Clinton Zilla, I must say.
Yeah, Malcolm Kent just had some of those Clinton Zilla pickled green beans.
So good. So good. I'm going to say it again. I might have mentioned it once before, but the Zillas really need to move to North Carolina. If I could do it, you could do it. I know exactly what town y'all could end up in, too. You would love it up in Taylorsville. Love it. Love it. Just saying.
While Malcolm entertains the audience, I will be working on camera angles. See, usually y'all have to watch me doing camera angles while I ignore you.
Yes.
But with Malcolm here,
all of your needs are being tended to in a very timely and efficient fashion. Who else are we going to say hello to? Alex Thomas, Clinton Zilla again, Edward Braswell, a.k.a. Bruiser Braswell. Oh,
a.k.a.
boy.
Mondo.
A.k.a. Mondo. We got Ricky Stinnett. We got a whole bunch of other people who have not actually said hey, but we see there, we see the little number, the magic number in the upper left-hand corner. So we know you're out there. We just don't know who you are. But is it kind of obvious that this is Break On Through? Should I even mention that?
Yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and mention it if you want to.
I'll mention this right now. Ladies and gentlemen, you might already be clued in as to exactly what is happening, but I'm going to assume that you're not. I'm going to make the big assumption that says that you don't know what you're doing, that you don't know what you're watching, that you don't know where you are, that you don't know who we are, or even why you're here. So, based on that assumption, I'm going to say welcome, everybody, to Break On Through. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Antiseen official Facebook page. You notice I just said Facebook with a straight face.
You did. You didn't go Facebook.
Yeah, I must be getting comfortable with the concept.
I guess so, after all this time.
Everybody sells out eventually, JC.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
That's it. I just might have crossed the proscenium.
No, I have completely messed up my camera angle. I had it good a little bit ago.
What do you make of this guy, man? Gee whiz. Who else we got here? Adam Wolf, the artist formerly known as many other names. Adam Wolf is here. Walt Wheat.
Walt Wheat. That name sounds familiar. Is he a North Carolinian?
You know, I think he's kind of in the same boat as the Zillas. He's preparing.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps for a productive and fruitful move.
Well, Malcolm, I like to burst out in song sometime, and I encourage you to burst out in song during this broadcast anytime you feel like you want to. I sent you a song recently. I don't know if you remembered any of it, but I'm going to dedicate this song to the Zillas and to the Wheats.
Okay.
And if you get any of it, if it registers in your head, please join in for a duo.
I'm all ear. Gimme.
Lord, it's like living in a forum. I like calling North Carolina home. That's all I'm going to say about it.
You know, that is a very good song. That is a very worthy public service announcement. And I do remember the video. It was a video.
Right, it was a video.
Quite inspiring. It was.
Right.
I felt like I was kind of flying like an eagle myself watching
Like
that
soaring
video.
over the mountains.
Yeah. The beautiful North Carolina mountains, of which I am now
A resident.
I am a resident.
And, well, we started off in a nice jovial way, but we had to bring it down for a second to pay a tribute. Unfortunately, these things are happening way too often for my taste. But I would like everybody to get whatever your break on through brew is tonight. Your break on through brew of choice. Ours happens to be. You got lemon in your water?
I got lemon water, or I do have Zevia, your choice.
We're going to let's do our lemon water.
Okay.
I know as they say it's bad news or bad luck to toast with water, but I don't believe in luck. I don't believe in superstitions. So we will toast to the one and the only, the lead singer for Rancid Vat, Beer Reebs. And to all of you, Beer Reebs, gone but never forgotten.
I'll just...
Quite a character.
He was quite a character. You know, I only met the guy in person twice. And the first time was when we did the Rule Breakers Ball in San Antonio back in 2019.
Right.
With Rancid Vat and Wrath of Typhon and a bunch of other great bands. And then the second time was when we played San Antonio Halloween night of last year.
Not after Halloween.
Whatever.
Okay.
Details. But I was just, and I posted this on somebody else's post. I made a comment. They wanted to know what everybody's memories of beer were, and of the very few memories I have, the one that really, really stuck in my mind was the fact that when we played that show with Rancid Vat, Beer made these 11x17 gig posters. And before the show, he wrote to me and said, "Would you like a poster?" I said, "I would love to have a poster." We get to the gig, and I made a comment about how I'd like to get these things signed, you know, by everybody from all the bands, if at all possible. But, you know, we're playing, there's tons of stuff going on, lots of running around to do. I just didn't have the time to go get the autographs from everybody. Beer took it upon himself to go to every single person in our band, in his band, in Josephus, and who was that awesome band who opened everything up with the female bass player? Why am I blanking on their name?
No, that you're mixing up Austin.
Austin, San Antonio,
and Austin. That was Sabbath Crow.
Sabbath Crow.
And our discussion was how much they love Beer Reebs, and told us to basically tell him hello, but in the words of F off when we saw him.
Right.
And
Right.
and you're right. Sabbath Crow are a fantastic band, and I think they played a lot with Rancid Vat over the last couple years. But
yeah, but it was mainly that Beer, he took the time to go around to everybody in all the bands and get those autographs and give me the poster at the end of the night.
Well, you know what? Beer was a collector, so he knew that whole aesthetic of having it signed by everybody that played.
Right.
So yeah,
I just thought that was above and beyond the Call of Duty and very touching. And, you know, we stayed in touch a little bit after that. And, you know, it just, what it underlines in my mind is how important it is, especially if you're a performer, but no matter what it is you do in life, you got to go for the gusto. You have to do it all the way. You can't hold back because you don't know.
I mean, none of us had any idea that was the last Rancid Vat show with Beer Reebs as lead vocalist.
Yeah.
Nothing indicated that at all.
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
It was just a night. It was a gig. It was a great night. It was a lot of fun. We all had a good time hanging out. And, okay, it ended up being the last time we'd ever see the guy.
Yep.
You got to take this stuff seriously, kids. You got to, you know, as Warren Zevon said once, you have to enjoy every sandwich.
Yep. That is the truth.
There you go.
That is the truth. And listen, I'll tell y'all something else. Yes, it's always a sad occasion when one of our own pass away. But we are not going to break on through being down and sad, because as much as I did know about Beer and knew Beer, I knew that if we took this time to be sad and morose, he would laugh at us, call us names, and think we were being very stupid. So we were going to have a good, like Mark Deal. He sure knew how to he sure did have a good time that night. And he, beer always knew how to have a good time. And we're going to have a good time tonight. And just remember, this entire program is done in memory of Beer Reebs. Now, I don't even know if I should say this. I guess I'm kind of taking a few steps in. I need to go ahead and do it. I don't know where this puts Rule Breakers Ball 2025, but I can assure you something is still going to happen. And it will be Rule Breakers Ball 2025. But, as soon as we know something, you'll know something. And the Dean of Songs wants to know how that Taylorsville tap is, but he don't know what's going on, does he?
No, the Dean, he's ever so slightly out of the loop. We all know that's a condition that will not last very long because we're going to set you straight there. This is actually, for tonight, this is a Charlotte tap. And in the future, once I do the final walkthrough tomorrow, I'll be drinking Newton tap.
Newton, that good old Newton tap. That's what I always say. I always say it. You hear me all the time.
So many times. And Newton tap as of tomorrow. Yes. I've been sort of like an itinerant homeless bum up in Huntersville for the last month. But as of tomorrow, that situation changes. And I will be planting my roots here in the great Tar Heel state. And I found out, I never knew what Tar Heel meant. Did you ever know what Tar Heel meant?
I did know what it meant years and years ago, but I have not revisited that in my hard drive. Therefore, that information is lost. Please give me a refragmentation.
I will be very happy to defrag that information. Apparently, Tar Heel reflected the tenacity of North Carolina soldiers. That they would not break and they would not run. It's like they had tar on their heels.
There you go.
So I can relate to that. I've moved a couple of times in my life, but I think that this is it. Ain't gonna be no mo after this.
If this is it, please let me know. If this is your final destination, you got to tell me so.
Ooh, yeah.
All right.
Right on. Well, that's about as close to Huey Lewis in the news that I will ever get. Thanks for nothing.
Well, I tell you what, you're sarcastically thanking me for nothing right now, but in just a minute, you're gonna be thanking me for a heap, big heppin' of a good time.
Say what?
I have announcements to make. Now I know when you listen to the weatherman and he's talking about 14 or 15 inches of snow coming, ice on top of that, your first concern, as it should be, is that you've got to get bread and milk. Why that combination, I'm not sure, but that's what you do. And if you can, buy as much toilet paper as you can so that the person coming in behind you is not able to get any. So, and I also know that during this panicked time of decision making, in the back of your mind is going, man, when am I going to get to see Antiseen live again? Well, I'm here to tell you about all the times you're going to be able to see live, because I'm telling you, you don't have to wait much longer than March 6th. Where we would be at Piedmont, South Carolina, at a place known as Tribbles. And Malcolm Tenton has performed there before, but the rest of us, this will be our first time. And we're looking forward to it. He speaks good words over this place.
Me like Tribbles, me like it.
Is this named after the Tribbles from Star Trek?
Believe it or not, and I don't know if this is really 100% kayfabe or not, but the owner is Mr. Tribble.
Mr. Tribble.
Mr. Tribble and Mrs. Tribble.
Oh, so it's just Tribbles.
Yeah,
okay.
Mr. Tribbles.
Not trouble with Tribbles.
No trouble with Tribbles.
All right.
No,
Well, and we understand that our opening act is Blue Ridge Death Cult. The lead singer being Zach Hembray,
We're in for it now.
formerly of Hembray. And then that's on a Thursday night. Then we skip over Friday, and then we go to Saturday, March 8th. Johnny Mac's down in the beautiful scenic town of Fairhope, Alabama, where we will be sharing the stage with the lovely Miss Kelsey Ray Copeland, along with Mobile, Alabama's favorite sons and daughter, Future Hate. We've done it before, we'll do it again. That show is going to be one like Fairhope has never, ever, ever, never, even ever seen before. So make sure you make the scene, and you got you a ticket to see Antiseen, because it'll be the best place you've ever been. Now I know some of you out there are saying, "Damn, Clayton, you talked about March 6th and then you skipped over to March 8th, man. You're getting you're starting to have a decline in your mind powers, and so you can't even think of the word to say." No, I'll tell you why I'm doing that. I'm gonna tell you why I'm doing it right now. And this requires a prop. Can you dig it?
I can dig it.
How about you say something wonderful to the audience and break on through while I go get the prop
I will.
to help? And by the way, I told Malcolm when he came in tonight, we sat down, we had a wonderful dinner prepared by the lovely First Lady. He was entertained by young Coleman, showing him his Ultra 7 fight dance. And I told him, I said, "Man, I got some great news, but I want to tell you live, on camera, on Break On Through, and I want to get your natural reaction." He agreed. And I'm going to tell you what, this is the first time anyone is hearing this right here on Break On Through. That's some of the benefits you get from being an audience member of Break On Through. Sometime when the news breaks, you get it before anyone. I haven't even made something to make a post about this yet. Let me go get my prop. Malcolm, please entertain.
All right. I will entertain by clarifying. You heard Mr. Jeff Clayton announce that Hembray's new group, whose name I've already forgotten, I'm sorry, was opening up for us, and I kind of went like this. I have to say that was not out of any sense of dismay or annoyance, but simply because when one of Hembray's bands shares the stage with Antiseen, we have to work a little bit harder, so this was just me anticipating that extra workload after Hembray takes the stage. And all of the shows that Mr. Clayton is talking about now are indeed red hot, and something's about to happen, and by the looks of this, I think I might know what he's talking about.
Well, all I can say is this. On March 7th, we will be back at the Star Bar in beautiful, kind of now, kind of wow, Atlanta, Georgia. Now, y'all know Antiseen don't like to play late. We're playing early. We're playing at 10 o'clock. And there's only going to be one other band on the bill. That band is a fixture in Atlanta. Everybody likes to tap their feet to them. Everybody likes to clap their hands when they play. They're called Bigfoot. Two bands, Antiseen and Bigfoot. Now, see, that sounds like a great film right there. But that's not why I'm dressed up like I just came in from the Sudan. That's not why. No. We are going to have a special guest overseer of the entire event. He'll be there all night with his own table, selling photos, autographs, and taking selfies with the audience members. Who am I talking about? Well, when you talk about the Sudan, you can only be talking about one individual. It's the only individual that anyone in the world knows from the Sudan. I'm talking about the one, the only, the legendary, the icon of hardcore wrestling. Before this man, they didn't even have a name for it. After him, they had to make up a name for it. And I'm talking about the one and the only Abdullah the Butcher will be at the Star Bar with Antiseen and Bigfoot. You better go get advance tickets now, because this is a Friday night in Atlanta. It's going to be a hot night. Bigfoot, Antiseen, Abdullah the Butcher. Where else are you going to find a bill like that? I got the answer to that. Nowhere. Only place you're going to find it is the Star Bar on March 7th. Now you remember this. Now you can't sit at home and drink all your cheap beer and get drunk before you come out, so you don't have to buy no beer. Antiseen goes on at 10 o'clock. Before 10. We go on before 10. We play early because we're very surly. So, how's that news, Malcolm?
That's some pretty good news.
Last time we were in Atlanta, it was us, some other bands, and much to our surprise, Abdullah the Butcher, but see, no one knew. Now we are going to use Abdullah's image, his name, in the advertisement. You are going to have the chance to meet the man in person right there and when you get done getting your picture made with Abdullah, you're going to be so happy. You go out onto the dance floor, you listen to a little Antiseen, you listen to a little Bigfoot, you're out there doing the cha-cha, you're out there doing the Charleston, and then you go home and you've had the greatest night of your life. Rock and roll wrestling, a connection like no one has ever seen. Antiseen and Abdullah the Butcher, they go hand in hand. And in honor of Abdullah the Butcher, I might even wear this during the show. What do you think?
I think you should.
I mean, when in Sudan, do as the Sudanese.
It's true.
That's what I've always said.
I'll drink to that.
I say that pretty often, matter of fact. I think I say that like almost every week.
Every 3 or 4 minutes, as a matter of fact. It's kind of scary now. It's going to happen. See, I as a fanboy am delighted because when Abdullah the Butcher showed up at our last gig, completely unexpectedly, I cannot stress that enough, nobody knew that Abdullah was going to come see Antiseen.
I didn't know it.
He just showed up. And I was so bewildered, benighted, and bedazzled that I completely neglected to get any autographs.
If anyone ever wanted to see Antiseen go from, hard-nosed rock and roll warriors to giddy fanboys, like within a split second, that was the night to do it.
That was it. That was it. There was not a dry eye in the dressing room, I mean, we're talking about Abdullah the Butcher. I got to tell Abdullah the Butcher in person to his face that I hated him when I was a kid. I hated him, and he loved that. He loved hearing that.
I'm going to give a little behind the scenes of that night. He was, of course, he wanted to do some kind of angle. Mm-hmm. But see, sometimes when people from the wrestling world enter into our world, there's some things that you gotta kind of have to smooth out to where it makes some sense. He said he was he was saying we should do this, but I was going, well, man, like, here's the thing. We love you. We would never attack you. I said, we got to make it to where, people know that we are paying homage to you. We pay homage to you with everything we do as far as the kind of music we play and stuff. So, and while I was discussing it, I was as far away from me and you right now, and I'm sitting here going, in my head, the other Jeff Clayton head floated out, looked down at just Jeff Clayton and says, you are discussing angles with Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah.
And then I started to phase out again. Nope, pay attention. And it went back in. But, yeah, Walt said even Sir Barry was grinning like an egg-sucking dog.
Totally. We all were.
Now, you talk about rarities.
Yeah.
That's like a purple unicorn.
And I'm trying to think of how many times I've seen Sir Barry Hannibal actually smile.
Well, that's a one-handed tallying, isn't it?
Well, one finger for sure when we met Abdullah in person. I think that's it. I think that's it. Right there. That's it. It is literally a digital count. One digit will count the number of times I've seen Sir Barry Hannibal with a big, wide, toothy smile on his face. Yeah. You know, and who knows? Maybe it'll happen again on the March 7th.
Who knows? Who knows?
All things are possible.
Now I got to go back up and answer someone's question.
Who's asking what?
Scott LaRock wants to know something about the York, PA show. Now, because I did not properly prepare, because when me and Malcolm do a show, we will have a loose outline. And then we just kind of fill in the blanks as we go. We kind of wing it. So I didn't have all my notes prepared. As a matter of fact, the notes I used for March lineup of shows was from last week. So I do not have my notes in front of me for April, but I will tell you all this. And I'm only going to go so far with the details, okay? I am not a rumor spreader. I am not one of the villagers that grabs the pitchfork and the torch and running out into the streets when I hear some unsavory news. But the Skid Row garage is under a big controversial dilemma at this moment, and I'm not even so sure that the place will be in operation. Our booking agent has already pulled us out of there because most of the city has issued a boycott. And and he assured me, he said, man, if this was just some woke backlash, because I wouldn't even bothered you with it. But he said, but this is serious. And like I said, I'm not going to go. I probably shouldn't have gone that far, but I'm not going to go any further with any details because I do not know myself what is going on. So, but I can tell you this, we will not be playing York in the April run. Now, Joey Killingsworth is scurrying. He's our booking agent. He's scurrying to get that date filled. That's a Saturday night. And if any of you know a place, or if you have an in at a place that you want to get us on that date, do you remember what those numbers were? 16, 17, 18, wasn't it?
Complete ignorance on that.
I think it's the 18th of April. But the 16th and 17th, we will be in Youngstown, Ohio, and another city very close to Cleveland that, because I do not have my notes in here in front of me, I cannot give you an accurate list of that show. But as soon as that stretch of shows gets confirmed and nailed down, you know we're going to be chest beating like crazy, telling you what all they are. So, so there you have it.
We'd be entertaining offers from anywhere from, I guess, like the Philadelphia area down through Kentucky, Tennessee, anywhere between North Carolina
and Cleveland.
Yeah,
basically. Why we can't get into Philadelphia on Saturday, I do not know. Saturday, April 18th, if that is indeed the Saturday, we want to play Philadelphia. Somebody let us know. In other words, somebody in Philadelphia has to put down that cheesesteak, and you got to tell me something. So let us know.
Operators are standing by. We're all a bunch of operators, baby.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we're operators. We're smooth operators. Right? Operators.
It's true.
All right. So, Malcolm,
Yes, sir.
what would you like to discuss and talk about for the remainder of Break On Through?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Jeff Clayton.
I know you are.
Yeah.
I can tell by the enthusiasm.
You can tell by my enthusiasm.
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's how it works.
All right.
I was driving over here and listening to some music
Music.
on my CD player.
CD, music, yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I wonder what old JC would think about this. And that led me to think about what would JC's opinion be about that. And that, of course, made me cogitate over what JC's opinion would be of the other. So I brought a few things to totally show and tell. They're in my famous backpack.
Where's your famous backpack?
Right here.
Oh, okay.
Right there, out of camera reach.
I thought it was in the famous dining room while you there.
Oh, no. I preparedness is my first name, my middle name, and my last name. They call me PPP for short.
Okay.
And because of that,
You broke me up on that.
that's what I do, you know? Old PPP here.
Oh,
is God.
PPP. Who the hell is that? It's Malcolm Jenkins. Don't you know? Can't you draw the similarities of the...
Thought you knew that. I got these things. They are compact discs.
Oh, all right.
They have been in my personal CD player forever and ever and ever, and I want to know what you think about it, because I think that we do share some common ground musically.
I think we share a lot of common ground.
We might even diverge musically, and that's where the conversation gets really interesting.
Okay.
So, all I gotta do is somehow manage to open up the backpack. And I have also been told I'm a very smart guy. Oh, by the way, I believe that the Antiseen Superstore ran out of these.
Yeah, we ran out of the Antiseen I Hate God live cassette tape, so we now have those back in stock. Chris Wilson, I'll be packaging yours up in the morning.
You're welcome, all of yous. Y'all welcome, all of yous. Anyway, what has been in my CD player?
Let's hear it.
Well, we can certainly take a look at it. Oops, got to grab the right disc from the right compartment. This is a record I've never heard before. And, you know, in my travels, I'm always wheeling and dealing and buying and selling and trading and haggling and blah, blah, blah. But I found myself a really good, inexpensive, used copy of this album right here, Frank Zappa, The Lost Episodes. Do you know this album, Jeff Clayton?
I am very familiar with this.
Let's talk about it.
And I will tell you, let's let the people get a good look at it. I'm going to tell you why I am such a big fan of this group of songs. I mean, a lot of great stuff on here. But I am a huge fan, and I think that for the whatever price you would pay for this alone is worth the 11-minute, 54-second version of Charlena.
Charlena, yes.
This, in my opinion, is the best version of Charlena, hands down.
Don Sugarcane Harris on the vocals.
Yes, sir. And Zappa's, you know, I know a lot of people like Zappa when he's, you know, but I think that he was capable of playing very tasteful, melodic leads. And that little one-note, one-string lead he does going from all the fiddle playing and everything to going into it, that he does right before the vocals come back in.
Yeah.
I would be so delighted. Right before that, I think it is incredible.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, if I could block out that one little part of the song, I think I would listen to that on repeat for about, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I love that part. You know how there's certain things, just the nuances of stuff
Yeah.
get you. And if you can't hear that nuance in another version or a live setting or something,
Yeah.
it's just not the same for you. That does that for me. If you say, oh yeah, I put Charlene on this playlist, is it the version from, I forgot what this one's even called.
Chunga's
The
Revenge?
Lost Episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Chunga's Revenge is the original.
Right.
But if you don't have this one, in my opinion, you don't have Charlene on there.
I agree. And that's all due respect to Flo and Eddie because they're brilliant. I love the way they sing together. Their harmonies are fantastic. But it just seemed a little bit like they were kind of taking the piss out of the song, in my opinion, on Chunga's. Whereas Don Harris really leans into it. Like, he really sings it, and he puts the emotion into it.
And plus, I don't know if you noticed on there, Zappa sings along.
Right.
And Zappa didn't consider himself a good lead vocalist. That's why he always had other people that he, in his opinion, were much better. And technically, he may have been correct on that, but technical prowess does not always mean best results.
Right.
And I think when Zappa sang with Sugarcane there, it sounded incredible.
Yeah.
So
I
I cannot glow enough about this version of Charlena. Now, it has recently appeared on vinyl.
Oh.
On, Gail Zappa's in charge of the estate now, and they're putting out stuff like crazy. But they put out one, I've got it somewhere. I got it when it came out. It came out like 2 Christmases ago, I guess. And for the life of me, I cannot remember the name. It had a nice slick cover with some foil. Funky something.
Okay.
Does that mean that ring any bells with you?
They've only, the ZFT, the Zappa Family Trust, has only released about like 215 albums.
Records.
You know, like who can even keep track
Yeah.
of the blessed things? But
it's on there.
okay.
The entire version.
Oh wow. Yeah, this to me is like the reason I got this album is because it has a lot of the early 60s and late 50s stuff that Zappa and Captain Beefheart did together when, Captain Beefheart was still Don Van Vliet and they were living in the desert in California. And a lot of the stuff had been bootlegged in the past, but I wanted to hear it in like pristine sound quality. So that was the hook for me. But then getting right up until track number 16, the Wedding Dress song, which I didn't know was actually a traditional sea shanty that Zappa had scored for the Mothers. And it's so good. It's such a great song.
I mean, they call it the Lost Episode because this is stuff they didn't use.
Yeah.
Like, why the hell didn't he use that Charlena?
I know. The version of Redunzel, too, which I think is better than the one that came out on Studio Tan. And Wonderful Wino.
Yep.
Back in the summer of '69, I went downtown and bought a bottle of wine. It's just this hilarious story of a wino. It is so good. It is so funny. And yes, these are all rejects and leftovers and stuff he just didn't see fit
Yeah, they
to
just
release
went
at the time.
At some point he went, nah.
Yeah.
But okay, Mark Deal says he loves the CD, the Booger Story, and they goes, was that Adrian Ballou, I guess is what it means. Funky Nothingness is what that.
That's the
what
album.
that was called.
Right.
Thank you, Erica.
Yeah.
And Randall talking about how much he loves Black Napkins. Man, that's in my top 10 favorite songs of all time.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer of the shut up and play your guitar theory that Zappa put forth. And I love a lot of his lyrics. I really do. But I think for me, he just always went just a little bit too far with the poo-poo and the pee-pee and the squelching noises. My sense of humor doesn't run that way. My sense of humor is very dry.
Yep.
It's not drippy.
That's a popular criticism of Zappa. And people said, well, I really liked him until all the potty humor.
Yeah.
And I understand that because, that potty humor, it's only funny a couple times. And then how many times are you going to listen to the same jokes over and it is like listening to a comedy record sometimes. But
yeah,
he did ask the question, does comedy belong in music? And I think it can. But I think Zappa on either end of the potty humor, and some of that stuff in there was fantastic. Like Broken Hearts for Assholes.
Yeah. Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown, Bamboozled by Love.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. But yeah. I mean, I just think Charlena and Peaches and Regalia are just two of his pieces that are just incredible. And I've yet to hear a version of Charlena that I did not like.
Right. And I will take a little bit of a sidestep and say I understand why Zappa was so heavy into the potty humor. You know, because they put him in jail in 1963 for making a pornographic audio tape.
Yeah.
You know, and from everything I've read, it just like scarred him for life.
And
So,
Zappa did hold a grudge.
yeah. And so, you know, so the rest of his life, he was like, "You're going to put me in jail for this? Well, I'm putting it on a major label record, and you know, MGM or Warner Brothers, whoever, is going to sell it to 1 million people. What do you think of that?" I mean, like, revenge. I hope it was sweet. You know, I really do. But
Randall says, "Watch me now. I'm going to eat the label."
So that's cool. We see eye to eye on this.
Yes.
I think this is probably my favorite Zappa album.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, like, the early Mothers one, this is the one I go to when I want to hear me some Frank Zappa.
Yep.
All right. Let's see what else we got that's been clogging up my CD player for the past number of months. Oh, this is a compilation I made.
Okay.
And I'll show it to the audience. I'll show you the name. This is a count 'em, 2 CD mixtape I made of The Who. And as you can probably guess by the title, All Ox, it's all of John Entwistle's songs from The Who.
Now, does that just count the ones he sang or just the ones he wrote as well?
Everything he wrote, whether he sang it or not, if he wrote it or had a part in writing it, it's on there. It's like 27-ish songs.
And in my opinion, we see eye to eye on this too, because this is a opinion I've probably come to have in the last 4 years. But Pete Townsend bores me to death. I get so tired of all that whine, that artistic art school whining about how he can't figure out who he is. Well, you know what? You're like 100 years old. You better figure it out at some point. I love Roger Daltrey. He always used to run Roger Daltrey down for his singing. But Roger Daltrey he wasn't putting on an air. He was that guy.
Right.
He was the guy that when you start yelling at him about the way he's singing, he's going to punch you, which he did.
Right.
Keith Moon, I think Keith Moon is one of the most amazing, legendary, functioning drug addict alcoholics. And I would have, if it was my job to wrangle him in to do stuff for my band, I would have broken up said band probably immediately.
Yeah.
But thank goodness they kept it going, because they have all either as The Who or individually put out some amazing stuff over the years. And man, as far as I'm concerned with Who material, anything that John Entwistle was the lead, whether it was songwriter or took over the vocals, it's just solid gold.
It really is.
Heaven and Hell. And man, you know, an album people don't talk about very much. Face Dances.
3 killer Entwistle tracks on that album.
And man, that song, The Quiet One,
Yeah.
did you hear it on the HBO, like when it was supposed to be their last?
Yes.
That version, man, if they could peel that version and put it on some, I would buy it immediately, because that version completely flattened the version that was on the album, which I love.
Yeah, and it is good on the album. It really
is really good.
And it's funny you should mention Pete Townsend, you know, because he is bearing the weight of the world, and who's going to save rock and roll, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, all Entwistle had to do with any Who album is write a couple of killer songs. That's all he had to do. And he did it with every single... There's not one single bad tune on this entire double CD compilation. And I could play this far more easily than I could your average studio album by The Who, because it doesn't have all that Pete Townsend tugging of the forelocks and ringing of the heart. It's just...
Man, And this might be an unpopular opinion among people that love classic rock and stuff, but I mean, that whole Tommy thing just wears me out. I can't deal with it that much. and again, I could peel Tommy and make me a wonderful mix CD, or maybe I could make one album of all the stuff I loved of Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
But just those long-winded stories and rock operas or whatever they're supposed to be. Even early, I kind of felt that was just being. I didn't know how to describe it at that point, but it just seemed like he was being too much.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it's funny you should mention that, because I've often, and you probably thought about this too, because you're a fellow music geek like myself. If you could go back and experience just one concert, anybody, anytime, anywhere, if you could just experience one concert in person, I have always said that if I could go and experience The Who playing at Woodstock, where they do all of Tommy, but they do it with such venom.
Yeah, because they were angry.
They were pissed off, man. I mean, they'd been kept waiting for hours and hours. They dosed and twisted with LSD. They all hated each other to begin with anyway. And
it was 4 a.m.,
it was
right?
like 4 a.m. or whatever. Who are all these hippies? You know, they were ready to kill by the time they hit the stage, and they put that into that performance. And they do those Tommy songs. Not all the Tommy songs. They cut out a lot of the dead weight.
But they did Sparks, which was amazing.
Oh, God, incredible. Like at top volume and maximum distortion, and at some point, Pete Townsend cracks his guitar over Abby Hoffman's head. What's not to love? I would have loved to have seen that.
If they'd have came out and did that right when they said it, ladies and gentlemen, The Who, they could have walked off, and I thought it was the greatest show I'd ever seen in my life. But no, I agree with you 100% about John Entwistle. When John Entwistle takes the reins, it's always gold.
Yeah. And that even includes the later albums like Face Dances and It's Hard. Just the sheer, the playing, the production, the arrangement, and that's all Entwistle.
Face Dances was a good album. It gets a bad rap sometime, probably because I imagine a lot of people had problems with Kenny Jones, which I did not. I was a big Faces fan, so I was okay with Kenny Jones. And no one was going to come in and do it like Keith Moon. And I don't think they wanted anyone to come in and do it like Keith Moon.
Right.
I wouldn't have.
Yeah. You couldn't anyway. There's no way.
So that's the way I feel about that. Yeah. So a second thing you have, we are in total agreement.
All right.
In.
Let's see if the people have anything to say about this.
No, yeah, they're talking.
Wesley Dixon says that Townsend is overrated in his humble opinion, and Greg Crawford says that Tommy was good in small doses.
I agree with that.
And yes, Nick Sampson, Tommy would have been vastly improved if it had sounded the way they played it in Woodstock.
I mean, just the part on See Me, Feel Me, like at the end, when they're getting ready to go into listening to you, like when they play it like, you know, maybe they should have just all got mad before they recorded stuff and kept them up till 4 a.m.
Seriously.
Dosed them. Had hippies yelling at them.
Seriously, covered in mud and, you know, just Goosebump City, kids.
All right, now go in there and play Happy Jack.
Right.
And leave out all that.
Oh, man, we're geeking out to the max. Okay, I had a total of 4. I've just gone through 2.
Okay.
Here's number 3. Is this the right number 3? Okay, number 3. I think we might have discussed this one before. And this one could be contentious with certain people or certain fans of this band. But this one right here. Direct from my CD player to break on through. It is Sabotage by Black Sabbath.
I think that's pronounced sabotage.
Oh, Sabotage.
Yes.
I stand corrected.
Okay.
Sabotage
All right.
by Black Sabbath. What do you think?
I like this album. And I guess I'm like everyone else. I really, really love Symptom of the Universe. I think the whole album should have started with that, in my opinion.
See, but I like the way that they do the little acoustic intro with "Don't Start Too Late." You know,
Right. Yeah, you know what? I can see that because I like the little acoustic and stuff intros off Sabbath Bloody Sabbath too.
Yeah.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun.
And "Hole in the Sky." I mean, to me, that's like to use the words of the critic, the archetypal opener. It's iconic.
Iconic.
Hole in
That's
the
a word
Sky.
that gets used a little bit too much these days, isn't it?
God, but it's just like right off the bat, bam, bam, bam.
But no, I mean, I know it's not, but sometimes I consider this to be the last Black Sabbath album, and I know it's not. I know it's not, and we can get into the whole Ozzy era, Dio era, if you want to, but I mean, I know they're the same band, but I kind of treat those as two different bands, and I really loved Dio era Sabbath.
Yeah.
But when you say that, people go, "Oh, you hate Ozzy era." No, I love Ozzy era Sabbath, but I love Dio era Sabbath.
It's just
but no, this is a great album.
Yeah,
I like the production on it too.
totally. It's no nonsense, but there's still a lot going on. But it doesn't sound like it's like a classic Ramones album. If you listen to the Ramones, especially the ones produced by Tommy, there's tons of stuff happening, just layers and layers of sound, but it doesn't sound like it. It just sounds like guitar, bass, drums, vocals. But if you listen carefully, yeah, there's chimes and glockenspiels and backing vocals and all kinds of great stuff, but it doesn't interfere with the music.
Right.
And I find Sabotage to be a great example of that as well. And as far as what you were saying, this in a way was the last Black Sabbath album because it was the last album they made before they started breaking up and reuniting, and Ozzy's in, Ozzy's out, Ozzy's back in again.
Because in all actuality, next was Technical Ecstasy, correct?
Yeah.
And then Never Say Die.
Yeah.
And then that was it for them until later.
Which, in my opinion, doesn't count because I think that was just a big corporate cash grab. And that album 13 that they did, the big reunion album, forget it.
I haven't heard one track off of it.
Don't even bother. It's just...
Man, I don't. There's some things in my life I just don't have time for anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm glad people still listen to what we're doing 41 years later, but sometimes I'm just like, it is what it is, and you hit the nail on the head when it's a cash grab.
Yeah.
But I understand bands like to write songs and record songs. I'm not sitting here and looking down on my nose at it and doing this. I'm just,
Well, I am, actually.
Okay.
I'm going to get on the high horse, and the exact reason why is because, the interviews are out there and well circulated about how when Rick Rubin was signed to produce the Black Sabbath comeback album, he said, "I want you guys to do exactly what you did on the first album." And so they went, and you can go track by track on Black Sabbath 13 and say, okay, well, this is a rewrite of Black Sabbath. This is a rewrite of
Wizard.
It's a straight rewrite of every Black Sabbath song ever. I would say, like, if I'd been in that position, I would have said, well, what do you guys want to do? All these years, you've had people telling you need a new hit single, you need to get back together with Ozzy, you need to do this. But what do you want to do? Make the album that you want to make. I don't care if it's an acoustic guitar and bongos. If that's what you want to do, that's what you should do. And I think the result would have been far more interesting. Probably wouldn't have sold as much, but it would have been more interesting.
Can you name your favorite Ozzy era Black Sabbath song?
Song?
Like, it don't have to be numero uno overall, uber alles.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if it was in your top five, if we had Malcolm's top five right here, and you just like, I want to listen to this. Which one would that be?
Well,
because I can tell you what mine is.
This will probably be this will sound so trite, but the first time I ever heard the song Black Sabbath from the first album, my brain just went, and so I can always recapture that feeling whenever I just hear the original studio version of the song Black Sabbath. And I could probably list another 20 that would get me off kind of the same way, but that was it. The first one's always the best, as they say.
Well, you want me to tell you what mine is?
What is it?
You ready?
I hope.
Are you ready?
Really?
No. No, okay, I'm gonna tell you. Changes.
Okay.
But in that group of 5, you know what else is in that group?
Mm-mm.
I pulled Changes out, but you know what the 4 are remaining? Solitude, Planet Caravan. Man, I really liked when they went, okay, yeah, we know what Black Sabbath's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But we're going to do this. I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, you talk about Never Say Die. Songs like Over to You and Air Dance and Swinging the Chain. I mean, you're talking about horn sections, strings, a song about an old lady sitting alone in her living room. Those are great songs, and they're not Black Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
That's some of the best stuff they ever did, in my opinion, from one of the albums that nobody really likes.
Brian saying the Charles Bradley version of Changes on acoustic. Yes, you're right. That is solid gold. Solid gold.
Never heard it.
Man, you need to. Yeah, I'll play that for you a little bit before you.
Wait, is that the Soul Guy?
Yeah.
Yes, I have
it's
heard
awesome.
that actually, and it is good.
It's great.
Yeah, it is real good. Yeah, totally.
Man, I think I would like to do a version of Changes sometime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Man, I saw that. When they played their last show, supposedly. Well, they got together the next day and went to the studio and recorded some. Well, they did that.
Like deep cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the drummer had nothing to do. He just sat back. But it was Geezer and Tony. One of them was playing the. It sounds like strings.
Mm-hmm.
And the other was doing the ding 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 ding. I thought it was bass and piano, but it wasn't. It's 2 keyboards and nozzle.
Very interesting. See, that's cool.
Yeah, I like
that's
stuff like
really
that.
cool.
I like it when people that are known for doing a particular thing branch off and do stuff that's just like I can't believe the guy from that band is doing this kind of stuff.
Did you people catch the segue? That was a segue right there.
Segway!
Effortless, seamless. Look at this guy. And he had it right there, too. He knew he was going to do that.
I feel unhappy. I feel so sad. I lost the best break on through brew that I ever had. All right. I see you're getting emotional.
Yeah.
Let's go with the number 4. Is this the 4th and final?
This is the 4th and final. This is a real dark horse.
Man, we're in agreement with a lot.
Yeah, this one might not be because I don't think we've ever talked about this band, and I think you know how much I absolutely love this band and adore this, worship this band.
Well, hold on, before you present it. I want to remind the people now. Whenever we do our long drives, I'm the night rider. You get me? A fuel-injected suicide machine. I'm a rocker. I'm a roller. I'm a out of controller. I am the night rider. But I gotta have a co-pilot. And a little more times than not, it is Mr. West Coast Time, Malcolm Tent, that is my co-pilot, or Mondo. And we play games to keep ourselves lively and awake. And what I do is, I have these playlists on Spotify. You can follow me on Spotify and get some of my eclectic playlists. Follow them and play this game with your friends and family. But we do a thumbs up, thumbs down, just like the version of Break On Through that we did at the Wheat Compound back in October, where we let you give us names and we all did thumbs up, thumbs down. But see, I usually play it with Malcolm, and I'll have a playlist with some, it's very mixed up. Nothing belongs together, and he'll sometimes some things. The first couple of notes of music starts, he can go thumbs down, don't like it. Or, if right comes on, he goes, oh, love it. All right. And those are just, we know. But then the stuff comes that he's not familiar with. And he'll give a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or a neutral. And usually the stuff he don't know he likes, that's when we start getting into the long discussions about. And then we'll do the same thing, flip it. But this is kind of like a long drawn out version of that. But then again, we don't have 14 hours to to kill.
Short haul tonight, luckily. Oh my god! And I'll just, before I show my fourth and final, it's because of the thumbs up, thumbs down game that I discovered Robin Trower, because this Robin Trower was on your playlist, and I did take your advice as given on Break On Through maybe a week or two ago. I did play the album Bridge of Sighs.
It's all gold, isn't it?
Might I use some mild profanity? It's damn good. It's really good. There are a couple of extended blues workouts that maybe I would have chopped a couple of minutes off of. But man, those guys, I don't know who his rhythm section is, but those guys are tasty. I would take them over Stevie Ray Vaughan and or Double Trouble. It's basically the same kind of music. Forget it. Stevie Ray Vaughan, forget it.
But
Robin Trower.
But with that guy, that what's his name, Dewar, the bass player, he has one of the best white, blue-eyed soul voices of anyone this side of Darrell Hall.
Is he the singer on that album?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And there were times when he played in the band and they got someone else to sing, and I'm like, what are you doing?
I don't know why they would do that.
That guy is so good, man.
It really is. And their groove is just superb. It's like the only other blues-based band I can think of that's got a groove that good as the early Fleetwood Mac stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because the original John McVie Fleetwood Mac blues rhythm section, can't touch them.
Yep.
Can't touch them in terms of British blues, but that Robin Trower rhythm section is right behind them.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
And we discovered that on a late night drive. So, Jeffrey K. Clayton, do you have an opinion about the Velvet Underground?
I do have an opinion on the Velvet Underground.
Let's hear it.
My opinion is what were we talking about? Oh, the Velvet Underground. I'm a fan.
Okay.
Of everything? No. What's the one album I would pick to say, hey, what is your, damn, Jeff Clayton, you're going on a desert island, you're going to have one Velvet Underground record. What's it going to be? This one right here.
There you go. All
Man,
right.
this is 4 for 4.
Yeah.
Man,
Not what I expected.
that gift
Yes.
with John Cale talking in one channel about this prank he's going to...
Walter Jeffers had reached his limit. It was now mid-August, and he had not heard from Marshall Hunt. I mean, 8 minutes. Incredible. So good.
But
So good.
Lady Godiva's operation
Yeah.
with machines that lightly pump air. Pump air!
Yeah. I'll tell you the one that breaks me up every single time, just for just the story behind it. Sister Ray.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think of the scenario, like, okay, Velvet Underground.
Mm-hmm.
You know you're in a good band. You know that you've got something important to say. But your label's about to drop you. Your manager's about to drop you. The producer doesn't care what you're doing. He's trying to score chicks. You're basically broke. You know the album's going to go nowhere. But you got one song left. And as they said before they went into the studio, they all kind of looked at each other and said, if you got anything to say, you better say it now. Engineer, roll the tape. Yeah, we'll let you know when we're finished, okay? Okay. And they just do Sister Ray, 17 minutes of just the crunch, the grrr, everybody trying to be louder than everybody else, you know? But with Maureen Tucker just going boom, ba, ba, boom, ba, ba, boom, boom, ba, and just holding the whole thing together. 17 minutes of just sheer aggro. And then the lyrics. Who in 1967, you know, the Summer of Love, peace and hippies, was singing about a bunch of drag queens and sailors having an orgy and somebody gets murdered at the end? I mean, you just didn't do this in 1967, people. You just didn't.
And man, I'm gonna tell you what, and I know with references to Spinal Tap, there's all kind of things you can go and say now, but that album cover, that says it all.
Yep.
And look at that on the back. Nice high contrast, almost Xerox photo.
Mm-hmm.
If they said, Jeff Clayton, you need to improve on this, son, I'd go, you know what? Can't. Done deal. Let it go.
Done. And they're just the coolest. I mean, as a band, they just looked so cool, especially when John Cale was in the band. They just looked cool.
Yeah.
They defined it. I mean,
Sterling Morrison was almost looked like John Kay.
Oh, yeah.
Steppenwolf.
Especially when he wore the shades.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mondo just had something to say. I was doing a pop-up show once and was selling the Velvet Underground album with a banana on it. This dude walked up and asked me if I was selling the album because I didn't like it. And my response was, I hope I'm selling it to you because you do like it. And I'll tell you what, I was not as enamored with them during the whole link up with Andy Warhol and Nico and all that. Mm-hmm. It didn't move me as much as that did. And the one I like after this one, and it was after this one, I really liked Loaded.
See, now I would have pegged Loaded as being your favorite. Like,
No,
if I had to guess, I would have said Loaded. Really?
That's my favorite, and Loaded would be behind it.
Right on.
Because I really like that version of Sweet Jane.
Yes, that is a good one. It's on another CD in my car right now. I mean, God, it's so good. And just the mystique and the... I mean, because, see, like, when I first discovered the Velvet Underground in the early 80s, like, nothing was in print by then. You couldn't get, and I'm sure you remember this, you couldn't get a Velvet Underground record. You obviously didn't hear them on the radio. You had to really dig and search and look hard to find anything about this group.
I mean, how many were there? Not many, right?
Original albums?
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
They weren't very prolific.
Not at all. And they didn't sell for jack. But everybody in the world talked about how much you needed. You needed the Velvet Underground, the Stooges, and the MC5. Those are the band names that always got checked. And every single one of those records was out of print at that time. And you just had to search it out. So it was like finding a gold nugget when you finally did get your hands on a Stooges record or an MC5 record or a Velvet Underground record. It was like, whoa, this is it. This is what these guys are talking about. You know, I'll pay the $5 for it, you know, at a record swap or something. And, you know, none of those bands ever let me down. Must have been something to it.
Well, this is pretty amazing. We did 4 for 4 on this one.
Yeah, no brawl, no fisticuffs, no bloodshed. I'll have to try harder next time.
Yeah. Next time, dig a little deeper.
All right, promise.
But I'm going to tell you what, man. I tell you a group that I listened to when I first discovered them, which would have to have been the late 70s. And I liked them, but it just didn't move me anymore. Until our last trip we took. And you played for me some Kraftwerk.
Oh, yeah.
That album, man, I've been obsessed with listening to that album again. I got it on Spotify.
No kidding.
But I think I will purchase either a vinyl or CD copy so that I have it.
Nice.
But which album was it? The
That
yellow
was,
one.
Computer World.
Computer World.
Man, what a
Man,
band.
great record.
Perfect.
Great.
Even with it's got a lot of repetition in it, but it works. It just kind of sets up this groove, and it's so great for driving. You're just doing this really nice groove, and I've always thought that the music on that record sounds like it's lit with cool fluorescent lights, and just kind of keeps that glow going the whole time. And it's cool.
When I hear that music, I can see the stage that was set up for Gary Newman on Erg.
Yeah, which is one of the best stages ever. You know, his little car and everything, and all the neon. Yeah, great. We can get into Gary Newman on the next road trip.
Yeah, I love Gary Newman.
I was actually playing Replicas just yesterday.
That's my favorite Gary Newman.
Such a great album.
That's my favorite Gary Newman.
Man, those
I'm praying to the aliens.
Yeah, you saw that on Saturday Night Live, did you not? When he was.
No, I did not.
Oh, so that was my first experience to Gary Newman, was watching Saturday Night Live, and Elliot Gould did the introduction. Now, all the way from England, Gary Newman. Like Gary Newman's gonna be some guy with a guitar or something like that, but no, it was Gary Newman. Was not ready for that.
Was that when Cars was out or
Yeah.
before? Okay.
Did Cars and Praying to the Aliens. Forget it. Went out and bought the album the next day. Never regretted it.
Great. Well, Malcolm Tim, thank you for joining me right here on Break On Through. It's been a wonderful evening.
Yeah, good fun, man. Good family, good food, good tunes, our people. Salute to all of you out there.
And I just want to say two things before we sign off. Number one, please, tomorrow, go by our friend Janice Blythe's page, Janice Blythe Scream Queen, and please wish her a happy birthday. And one more time, I would just like to drink a toast to the late, but never ever forgotten, Beer Reebs. Sir, you were indeed an individual. Cheers.
Beer.
All right. Well, that's it. We enjoyed having you. And as always, like I say, we never take you for granted. We're always glad you show up and you hang out with us for a little bit. And I want y'all to have a fantastic week. An even better weekend. And we'll see you right here next week on Break On Through. Pretty soon, now that he's moved in, you're going to see Break On Through on Tuesdays, and you can look forward to some Tent Talks tuned on Wednesdays. And I love you. God loves you. Good night.